So last one up is Steven Verix. Well, I say Verix, but it's not really Verix, is it? 2 years ago, really? Oh my gosh. I apologize. I'm going to go to your Artstation version. So in general, I think that the portfolio has gotten stronger. I think you might want to remove this one. This one's also really busy. And I think it's really like what do you say? It's difficult to judge it because like I feel like not all of the aspects are there yet. Like when you see this view, I think the trees are possibly too saturated. The ferns are definitely too saturated for PBR. That's interesting. Why aren't are they there? I think the mushrooms are a different size in this view than this one. See these big ones here? They're like smaller here. They're like right here. In general, like when I look at this by itself, this looks pretty solid. It could be a little busy. And I would maybe suggest adding some bevels and kind of like trying to wiggle the shape a little bit on the edge, just so that the silhouette is a little bit more interesting than just a geometric. The other question is like how these stairs are made. Like, did they build a ramp and then they just like cut stairs down to fit the ramp? You really want to make sure that you figure out how to make this look like it could be put together. If I go in and grab, if I go in and look at this, making this stuff here, making this stuff here thicker. Dude, Sai, thanks, man. Hope you're doing all right. If we go and look at like this part here, so these stones are maybe this one's okay thickness wise, but they're all quite thin. And then the angle at which these steps are cut is really difficult to rationalize how it was put together. The other thing too is like how this mud kind of builds up on the sides here is maybe it should be building up more in the cracks, or it should be pretty heavy. I mean, near the base, but like as it's going up, you want it to like go between the stones, and the stones are starting to take over, and the mud's just kind of sitting in between the stones themselves. And then just from like a visual standpoint, if you can take this type of detail and add like a undershadow, just gonna do this really fast here. Like visually, you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck, I think. Whoops, sorry. Let's see here. It might be a little on the subtle side. But like with that edge, see, you can see it feels even more strange. But I think if the steps are thicker and they have a little bit of an overhang, that's really gonna kind of like show how stuff's constructed. Because you always want to figure out how did someone put it together. Like this area right here might be too thin. I'm not sure. But yeah. Your main question is, what do I need to improve in order to get a position as a junior artist? I've applied a few times but declined. I've asked them for feedback, but no one responded so far. Dude, and straight up, that's quite normal. They're technically not obligated to give you feedback, but studios that care about your growth or know where, like, they're like, I mean, I was there at one point, right? If they understand that, they'll give you feedback. I think if I had to give you one really strong feedback, it's just understanding your materials and then trying to figure out compositionally how to use your materials to stay away from like the really noisy surfaces, or just like, so for example, this scene here is really good for this fence. This fence prop looks really nice. It's not too busy, but it's got the detail there. The foliage is kind of broken down, like it doesn't come off like the material that you're looking for. You are kind of getting the fidelity on the underside down here. It's weird to me that there's no grass in this area, like between these stones. This surface here looks like it was made, like handmade, versus a natural formation, and that comes a lot to that comes from a lot of understanding of like how rocks are formed. And so if this is a natural formation, then we need to find out what type of rock it is, and then understand how to put those, how to build that all together so that it looks natural and not so hand placed and blocky, if that makes sense. The foliage, I think right now, is the thing that's suffering the most in this image, as it's just, it kind of reads, it reads like, it doesn't read like foliage, if that makes sense. Like I see that it is foliage, but the way that the material is behaving with the lighting, like the undersides of these being so dark, like we need to solve that aspect of it. Like I would strongly suggest just taking this tree or making another tree and just understanding what is making what makes it look good. Like, what are the properties that games put into foliage to make it look nice? And just trying to figure out the back-facing issue of being dark. That's probably transmission's going to make that work. Volumizing your normals so that they're kind of unified as a volume. Yeah. Holy cow, we got 89 people in here. How you guys doing? Thanks for the follow. But it's difficult, man. Oh, you're Ada, in fact. Oh, nice. We did yours first. But yeah, I'll link it to you once it's once we've uploaded it. So it's surface detail. It's understanding PBR, and then pushing those shaders to support you versus like showing you like how low the geometry is. Like this tree here. Like these are turning quite solid in the branches, which is probably okay. It's just the contrast of the material that's on there is very, it kind of looks like grass. Like it could be anything. It could be just one color, because like as it gets further away, it just kind of melts into a single value, right? And then the only thing that's holding it up is the way that the lighting is affecting it. And the lighting affecting foliage is everything. It's everything. Ambient. Oh, what type of tag would you search, out of curiosity? Hey Marco, how you doing? Anyways, if I had to look through this, dude, what is this? That's cool. Oh, that's awesome. So the foliage here looks pretty good. I'm not sure what specifically he did. I can read through all this. Yeah, so you worked on readability, layout of the level, and lighting. Nice. Nice, you linked your buddy too. That's always good. Yeah, I mean the foliage is working here, so I would definitely poke your friend about like how that's happening. If you didn't make these and your friend did, that's the benefit of working with people, right? Is you get to learn from them as well. Yeah, I mean I think I would remove this one just because like there's a lot of extra geometry here. Like there's a lot of things happening in it that are showing that you're not ready yet. Like there's tons of extra geo here. Like how I would probably solve something like that. Let's just do this. It's 859. Okay, so if we look at this one, there's a number of things you could do with the geometry to keep it pretty cheap. So of course, start capping these, right? You can do this. I'll just keep doing that. There you go. And then now you've got, I guess I'll do it like this too. Oh man, I'm just going for it. We're doing it. Retopo in Photoshop. So like this arch here, for example, you could just, I guess you probably want to bring it out here, because having it really close here is going to be, that's a little tight for, it makes your polys a little on the thin side. You have this point here. You could probably add a midpoint so you're looking at it similar to this. And then there's all these guys, right? So it's finding spots where you can. Hey, thanks for the sub, dude. Mamma mia. Yeah. So looking at this type of stuff, I think you could like that, right? And then this corner one could go here. This arch, maybe you can start it there. And then you'll want to do the same thing over here. I'm just gonna simulate some of this stuff. And so your arch, you can start with maybe like, oh man, it gets difficult, but you're basically doing this essentially. If you need room, you can add another point up here. Right? And then you're just kind of, maybe even a little bit further. But yeah, you want to make sure you're kind of cleaning it up more so that you don't have all this extra vertices and stuff on the inside there. So, and if you look like, I totally did. I just put that on top of there. So like, instead of like all these edges here, you've cut it down to 1, 2. I mean, this doesn't even have to connect like that. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 3 instead of, I don't know how many that is. But yeah, you're trying to optimize that stuff because it doesn't need, like, that amount of geo is not needed to build those shapes. So like even down here, like all that stuff, you can just turn that into a single quad there, and then like all those loops don't need to be there. I guess I'm wondering, so there is a bake, and you can see this noise, the noisy material here. The noise is fine. I wouldn't put it in the material. I'd put it in like the shader and tile it on top of everything. And then where you don't want the noise, you just make a mask. So you have a black and white mask, and you would paint where you don't want the noise to happen. And you just blend those together. But yeah. Dude, 91 people in here. Holy. Awesome. Thanks for the sub. Is it Genoxa? Boom. I don't know. So popular. Stop it. I love this breakdown. It's good. We love you. I love you. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I would just remove this one from your portfolio just because it's not helping you very much. This redo, quickly, I'll just kind of look over this one. You redid this one, and it is better, and there's a lot more like interesting stuff happening in the materials. It's still really basic in the geometry. This type of detail is great. Think about how materials or how things blend with things. So like you've got grass here, right? And you've got a path here. That path looks super traveled. That vehicle obviously has been there for a while because the grass is just kind of grown around it and there's no sign of like it actually getting there and the broken glass. But like you've got little fingers of grass starting to come into the dirt. And then you've got, I think it looks like there's a different type of dirt type here, like a gravel or something. Putting that on the edge and then bringing the grass in really tight is going to be huge, I think. Let's just do that. Yeah. Because like if you can bring the grass in more and you just make this narrower, man, I can't even do this right now. I wonder if that... It's like, can I? Can I though? Because you want to make it narrower so that it makes more sense as to like how that formed. And then it actually allows you to, if you wanted to make other paths, right? Because that other paths are quite interesting. And it kind of shows like people taking different routes. Maybe they're going around something that's sitting here. But then think about how this grass got here, right? It got there because I guess this is leaking some water so that the grass seeds could actually grow. But then that, you probably want to add a little bit of grass, whoops, into the little, oh, come on. It's like, come on, man. Why? Whoa. Whoa. For reals? I wasn't even reading that. Is this going to help? Well, I'm running out of memories, guys. Yeah, getting information into these and like think about where that stuff builds up. And then you have a conflict of like stylized shapes happening with things that are trying to be realistic. You have materials that are really bright. This normal kind of looks inverted because these are sticking out instead of being inwards, and maybe that's intended. That's intended, adding some of this grimy stuff on the inside of this dripping down in some spots is going to help sell that. So there's a lot of like micro stuff that you could add. And like I think I see dripping type of stuff here. Having that being more present is going to be really good if it's back here, and then a little bit here. And you want to push. You want to like overdo it because you can always scale it back. And yeah. And then I think because these are metal, really make them sing, right? Because like everything right now is kind of very like this area here, you're seeing a lot of roughness information happening, and this you're seeing a lot. But the rest is kind of just very similar. Yeah, it's a lot of small things. I know I keep pointing out tiny things, but it's those tiny things that help. Like, so you're starting to do it. Like just go for it. Like, how long has this been here, right? Think about like if the foliage is building up and growing like that, this stuff could go like all the way out here, right? And then maybe it gets into the road a little bit. There should be a little in here. It depends how abandoned you want it to look. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I think your major weaknesses right now are your materials, your foliage, specifically is kind of lacking currently, and it's more on a technical side and like how the material is behaving. And then I think that, let's see here. See, this looks good. Material wise, this is pretty interesting. And I'm trying to figure out why it's not coming through in this one. Like these look pretty all right. They need some like interaction with the world. Like you need to know where the bottom is. And maybe that's just with the decal, but anywho, I keep going and I need to move on. But, thank you for submitting your portfolio. And pay attention to your composition, making sure that there's not too much busyness in your scenes. I look forward to a new scene, taking what you've learned and then just kind of pushing your materials and trying to get them to interact with each other a little bit more. and then thinking about how stuff is propped and how things naturally kind of form together. All right. Be right back.